Project Life Size. A lot of the girls are talking about different cultures at the moment in terms of body standards, and we've had some really interesting topics such as China, Japan, Africa, and I was just doing some research on the internet because I was kind of thinking, what would I talk about? I mean, I could have talked about in history, you know, like how in Elizabethan times they used to shave the hairline so you'd have a really high forehead, and they'd put white lead paint on, and the white lead paint was used by Queen Elizabeth, and it actually made her eyebrows fall out. That it was actually a fashion to not have eyebrows, and that's how it started. I was thinking about this white lead paint and what skin color is in terms of beauty and beauty standards. In history, European imperialists have often been blamed for bringing the lighter skin mentality to indigenous cultures. In India, there is this line from a poem that basically says that a beautiful woman who has skin the color of butter, and in India, butter is actually white, it's not yellow. And pre-colonial Indonesian culture, or women, they used to use plant extracts to actually pale and lighten their skin. And it was funny that these notions of pale skin were actually applied to races and people whose skin weren't naturally pale. But the paler they were, it was actually considered a beautiful thing. Like, pale skin was actually a sign of wealth, because wealthy people didn't have to go out in the sun, they didn't have to toil, they didn't have to be in the fields or work in the sun. And so a lighter skinned complexion actually separated you from the peasant stock, the peasant folk, the people who actually had to work for a living. Yeah, so why are beauty standards always out of the reach of the average woman? And that's why I found it interesting just doing this reading and just finding some of these facts about how beauty standards have been applied, and especially in terms of skin color, which is something essentially you can't always help. You can't change unless you're Michael Jackson. Fatness was another physical characteristic of this wealth, because it meant that you could lie around, you know, enjoy life. You didn't have to be active and work, and it became, fatness was a prestige. A woman who was pale and fat, wow, you married into a good family. Even China and Japan had it. When they depicted gods and warriors and other attractive men in the paintings of history, they often had like a pot belly to say, you know, like, yes, they were wealthy and they could afford the fatness. And a Chinese euphemism for getting fat literally means getting wealthy, get some money. Something that was considered perfection down the line became a racism. If you're brown and tan, that's separated, you know? And I guess that's where the stigma of racism came from, because you weren't part of the prestigious people. But this isn't only the case in Western culture or Western's dealings with other cultures. This is actually a part of cultures within themselves, such as like in Japan and the Philippines. It was because people there already had similar ideas about race and color. People in other countries actually had the same notions that if you sat around and got fat, or if you sat around out of the sun and had paler skin, you were wealthy and prestigious. So that standard of beauty isn't only a white standard. It wasn't a standard that we imposed on the rest of the world. Mentality of yesteryear is no longer applicable today, nor should it be. We are who we are, and I just don't think any culture can really subscribe to any form of beauty, because no matter what you are, someone's going to like it. Je ne sais quoi, you know, that special something about someone. I think that is what really makes people interesting and appealing to me. I like quirks, I like individuality, that is what attracts me, I think. I think there has to be something special about you that can't be found in anyone else. And everyone has it. It's just a matter of projecting it to the world. What is your je ne sais quoi? So, yeah, that's my blog, I think. I'll leave it there, and I'm happy to be back, and I hope everyone has a great week this week, and I will definitely see you next week.